For the record, good afternoon. I am Board Member Janice McNeil, and this meeting is called to order. We're going to move forward with our roll call.
Chair Scott, excused. Vice Chair Neal. Should be. Vice Chair Neal.
Member Steele.
Steele, okay. Member Horsford.
Here.
Member Monroe Moreno. Excused. Member McNeil.
Here.
Member Garcia Anderson. Excused. Member McCurdy.
Hello, this is
Here.
Senator Neal.
Yes, we can. Thank you. Member McCurdy.
Present.
Member Steele.
Present.
Member Summers Armstrong.
Present.
Thank you, Chair. You have a quorum.
Item agenda number 2, an announcement regarding compliance with open meeting law.
Yes, we are in open compliance.
Moving on to agenda number 3, public comment. During this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker will be allowed may be limited. If there be any, you come forward now.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman. I'm Catherine Duncan Reed, and I am here because I wanted to discuss why this board exists in the first place and talk about the historic West Side and other initiatives that are going on the West Side. So this board was created because of segregation and because our neighborhood had been marginalized. The reason why this body was created was to bring about a change in our community. But the biggest challenge we have is how you engage with us, how you get information to us. So in the past, you've done a very good job of hiring marketing companies who do email alerts, they have parties, they do their best to try to outreach to the community. But I think the language that we're looking for is community engagement. So what's been lacking is a way for the government to effectively engage with the citizens. So we've taken on an initiative that's coming out of University of Southern California Safe Communities Program. Everyone's looking to do a smart city, and to have a smart city is going to take smart citizens. So we're looking at a program that's post-COVID, because the way we've been doing business now is how we did it before COVID. And there's a lot of people at home sitting wondering what's going on in these meetings, and we have something really, some new technology called the internet. And if we could only get this meeting on the internet, then more people could engage more efficiently. So we're working through the STEM Center at Nevada Partners, and in the city of Las Vegas, we just found about the Hub Innovation Center. So we're asking you, as each of these programs, projects, developers come before you, that you ask them to look at not only how they outreach to the community, but how they engage with the community. So we're asking for 1 penny, just 1 penny from each program dollar that's set aside for community engagement to go into the STEM centers so that we can begin to virtualize what we're doing. We want to put the 100 plan online so we can see it in 3D. We want to put the Marble Manor Plan online so we can see it. The Harlem Nights, the Jackson Street Alliance, the West Side School, the CSN, all of these amazing developments that are being built in our community so that we can coordinate them in a more holistic fashion. So I thank you so much for listening to me today, and I brought an invitation to you because it was on March 26, 1960, that the city of Las Vegas ended segregation. And we're going to commemorate that day this March 26 with the Moulin Rouge Agreement. So I brought these for the women on the SNCC board because this is Women's History Month. And we're going to be recognizing women who made a difference in the civil rights movement. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments at this time? If not, moving on to agenda number 4, for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the final minutes of November 18th, 2024. Can I get a motion to be approved?
So moved.
Can we get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? If not, the motion has been moved and approved. Moving forward to item agenda number 5, a presentation by Jamie Gillis, President, Central Incorporated, Karen Snob, Choice Neighborhood Implementation Director, and Paula Tucker, Director of Supportive Services, Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority, regarding an update on developments within the historic West Side, including the Marble Manor Choice Neighborhood Initiative and the Jobs Plus Initiative Program, Ward 5.
Good afternoon, board members. Kathy Thomas, Chief Housing Officer for the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come before you today. What you're going to hear today is a team presentation that provides an update about Marble Manor and the historic West Side revitalization, because it's one story. And so we didn't want to do 2 separate presentations. We wanted to present to you how they are integrated and working together to achieve the broader goals of the 100 Plan. So you will hear from team members from both the Housing Authority, the city, and our consulting team as we update you on our progress to date on some amazing things that are happening. And we're very proud to be partners with the city of Las Vegas in this work.
Good afternoon, Sabra Newby for the record. I am a deputy city manager at the city of Las Vegas, and I just wanted to come up and echo the thoughts of my colleague and friend, Kathy Thomas. I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to everyone who's been involved in these programs since I've joined the city of Las Vegas. The progress in the historic West Side, and particularly through the Choice Neighborhood Grant, has been really remarkable. And so my deepest gratitude goes out to everyone, and there's a lot of them who have played a role in this, making this vision a reality. Their dedication and commitment to progress are what drives this project forward. And I hope you find what you're going to hear today as impressive and amazing as I do. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jamie Gillis. I am the president of Centro, but more importantly for tonight's discussion, I'm a consultant. I've been a consultant to the city of Las Vegas and the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority for 6 years, helping to develop the 100 Plan in action, helping to shepherd projects through, helping to write grants and bring funding in to realize some of the dreams and visions set out by the community. So I'm thrilled to kick off this presentation tonight. I'm one of 3 speakers you're going to hear from. So I'm going to open up the conversation and be the one that provides a little bit of an overview on everything underway in the historic West Side right now and our approach to making that happen from the city side. As I think we all know, revitalization is really the sum of many moving parts. The intention from the beginning was not that one swift, bold move was going to make a difference in the way the community wanted to see their vision for the historic West Side realized, and that it was going to be the sum of many, many, many moving parts and small steps. What we have learned through the last 6 years is that having an overarching plan to undertake intentional reinvestment has been critical to staying focused and on track, and that everybody's bought into that plan. That means the community, that means the city, and that means partners like the Housing Authority and all the elected officials represented here today. And recognizing that many hands make easier work, certainly none of it has been easy, but getting the buy-in and support of those multiple agencies working off the same sheet of music has been critical. We've been very successful in leveraging federal, state, and local resources as well as philanthropy, and layering funding to undertake simultaneous projects, which has been catalytic. We never looked at it as we'll do this and then this and then this. We tried to find a pathway to do many things at the same time and pull multiple levers at the same time. So we have utilized policy, both carrots and sticks. We've utilized programming, we've utilized projects, and in doing so, I've cracked open a whole lot of opportunities where success and synergy naturally occurred rather than idea being forced. So our focus now must remain on avoiding displacement while welcoming the new. Creating layers of opportunities that meet people in the community where they are and help them achieve what they uniquely want to achieve. So we're going to talk tonight about 3 key pieces to the future of the historic West Side. I'll be talking about the 100 Plan in action and the progress on that. You'll be hearing from Karen Schnog on the Choice Neighborhoods Initiative grant, and then from Paula Tucker on the Flex or Jobs Plus program, which was another grant the Housing Authority received in the last year. I think we've all heard now a lot about the 100 Plan in action. Back when I started with this work with the city 6 years ago, the 100 Plan was a coveted document by the community, but not as well known by the broader public. Today, we know that a lot of people are aware of what it contains and what it means to the community to see that plan realized. The 100 Plan in action was based off the 8 principles identified in the original 100 Plan that was created by the community and UNLV. And we've remained true to that plan, working to identify implementable projects that we can move forward in catalytic areas that we identified through our initial planning effort to develop the implementation strategy for the 100 Plan back in 2019 and 2020. And I just want to talk a little bit about that, because as we talk about all these projects, there's always been questions, well, where did you start? Why did you choose this? What led you to decide this project over another? And one of the things we looked at way back in 2019 was recognizing the work to be done and the magnitude of the work to be done meant we had to identify where could we find catalytic opportunities, catalytic areas and sites within this larger 400+ acre neighborhood, and leverage assets that the city or the housing authority owned and leverage opportunities within those areas. I have done community development work for 25 years, and one thing I think we probably all know, whether we've learned it or just naturally going to a place, is when you have multiple things happening in one spot, it begins to bubble out. So when we created the initial 100 Plan in action, the idea was that these 3 areas you see on your screen, Jackson Avenue, the Washington Avenue and D Street corner, anchored by the historic West Side School, and then the Washington Avenue and H Street area, which is, of course, is the Marble Manor site, could be catalytic starting points where we thought we could leverage both land and resources to begin to see new development in the historic West Side. There's no way you can read this map, I understand that, but the idea here is just if you step back and take the 1,000-foot view, all of those little colors and squares and numbers on that map are all projects that are in progress right now. And I think that says a lot. There are certainly things happening outside of those catalytic areas, but you can kind of see that the development has followed, and the projects have sort of followed that general backwards L that we sort of focused on when we initially put the 100 Plan in Action together. I talked a little bit about the funding. We've been very focused since day one on funding. In fact, the 100 Plan in Action was originally supposed to be presented in this very room on March 23rd, 2020, and we all know what was happening then. That presentation got canceled, but I remember having a call with many people in this room during that very time saying, we're going to continue forward, find the funding, find the opportunities to keep moving forward. And so we did just that in that exact year, getting the first big EDA grant and actually a second EDA grant shortly thereafter, one for the Workforce Training Center and one for the ASED network that provided free internet access to students of schools to be able to, in the historic West Side, to be able to study at home, even while they were at home for COVID. Over 5 years, we have leveraged over $350 million in investment. That's committed investment. And for every $1 the city has put in, it's leveraged $5.43 in additional investment, which is significant and extraordinary return on investment for the city. And of course, along the way, we've made headlines. I get Google News alerts every time the historic West Side pops up, and it used to be once a month, maybe, once every few months, and now pretty much every day, or every week for sure, a story or stories pop up about the efforts underway on the historic West Side. And we're keeping track of that and keeping track of the stories that are being told out there. So I already mentioned about the last 5 years has been about really laying the groundwork. There are a number of policy efforts that have occurred during that time, from zoning to lightening liquor license restrictions to allow us to see new restaurant establishments and entertainment venues come back to the West Side, community benefit agreements, equitable policies, each department citywide. We've done programming. I know I just talked to the councilwoman. I was on a call with her this week about how wonderful Love on Jackson was. Love on Jackson has been an extraordinary community event that's just grown over the years, and continuing to have that and find ways to get people excited about the possibility and feel how alive the community can feel when we gather and celebrate will continue to be important. There's also been really great programming to entrepreneurs and property owners about opportunities to redevelop their property or start their business or expand their business. So we've tried to create those opportunities both from just a community belonging point of view and also a community learning point of view. And then also the projects, and we've been investing in projects along the way and trying to thread together projects that honor the history, that support the diverse housing needs, that provide employment and education opportunities, that protect the community's health, and that prepare the neighborhood for investment. And those were all things that were very clearly set out in the original 100 Plan as priorities going forward. Again, as I said, layering funding, all while being intentional about preserving the past while planning for the future, and supporting the needs of the people of the West Side while welcoming newcomers who respect the history, who want to be part of the community's future. We have loads of completed investments, and again, I know the text on here is small. These pages are taken from the update to the 100 Plan in Action, which was published in October of last year, just as a sort of milestone marker or 5-year report on where we are and progressing. But the accomplishments and investments have been across the board very diverse and kind of started to set the stage for bigger things. The historic West Side Legacy Park, the historic West Side School Centennial Celebration, which was a wonderful event, inventorying the history of the West Side buildings. The work underway on Jackson Avenue, which we're going to talk more about in a second, work to do complete street investments, making the streets safer and making them ready for investment. The historic West Side Urban Farm, Obodo, the opening of the new Mario's, Seeing programming come alive at the historic West Side School, and there's tons of programming, and then also supportive programs like the Strong Start Go mobile pre-K, the Cox Innovation Lab, et cetera, and continuing to look at housing, infill housing, the Neighborhood Housing Services of Southern Nevada Housing Project, and other supportive community projects. The Doolittle Active Adult Center renovations, the Shaquille O'Neal basketball court, and adding art and beauty. Beautiful murals and new beautiful sculptures, all that grace the streets and walls of the historic West Side and tell the story. There are also some incredibly significant projects that are underway right now. The first projects we are seeing go vertical in the historic West Side, which some have estimated it is the first time in the last 70 years we've seen development like this come out of the ground. The Workforce Education Training Center is the project that's farthest along. This is a CSN and City of Las Vegas partnership that broke ground in May 2024. A $16.4 million project, including a $6.9 million grant, which this is the single largest EDA grant ever awarded to the state of Nevada. And that, again, was the first grant to come out of the 100 plan. It's going to be a 15,000 square foot workforce training center. It's located directly adjacent to the historic West Side School and provides credentialed training programs in advanced manufacturing, information technology, construction trades, and healthcare. It is expected to open this fall, and if you've been to the historic West Side recently, you will see it is well underway and very exciting, and I think it's going to be a beautiful addition to the neighborhood. It is expected to serve 450 students annually, a vast majority of whom will qualify for sponsorships or sponsored tuition. The next project that is about to break ground and work is underway on that is the Shared Downtown West Side project, which is right next door to the WETC, and is a $28 million workforce housing project with ground floor commercial. It is expected to officially start turning dirt here very shortly, and will be 104 one-bedroom apartment units with 84 classified as workforce housing. In addition to that, the ground floor commercial space will house the West Side Market Hall, and we're very excited about this project. This will be a project run by the city. It will be an incubator of sorts for startup food-based businesses that will get subsidized rent and business support training, but we also are imagining it and dreaming about it as a true community gathering place that will not just be food, it will be music, it'll be entertainment, it'll be a place for people to gather and enjoy. There has been a lot of work on historic Jackson Avenue. The Jackson Avenue redevelopment grant is an EDA grant that was awarded to the city of Las Vegas in 2023. $1.3 million matched by a $328,000 contribution from the city. And additional funding is coming from Choice Neighborhoods as well, which you'll hear more about from Karen. The funding was designed to support private property owners on Jackson Avenue in developing and redeveloping their properties and opening businesses within them. And so there are a number of components to that. There are some current market studies underway to understand the future potential of development on the street, but also the owners get direct technical support to put together a project, develop the capital stack, and so on. And we have a few projects that are sort of percolating that we'll be excited to talk about, I think, very soon. In addition to that, as part of this effort, the Jackson Street Alliance, a nonprofit organization of property owners, was formed and launched this past summer, and they are really focused on working together for a bigger vision, to develop a bigger vision for the street, to generate jobs and attract investment, and really foster a really thriving and inclusive community that pays homage to the past. I mentioned Jackson Avenue Complete Streets before. Jackson Avenue, that Complete Streets project was completed in 2023. Complete Streets is, again, a reinvestment idea around street infrastructure that supports pedestrian and bicycle activity in addition to vehicle and bus traffic. And we have a number, as you can see on this map, all of those colored lines are Complete Streets or infrastructure investment projects that are underway. The most recent one funded was Washington and H, a $16 million grant from the federal government, which so far is still in play, and aligns with the reconstruction work on Marble Manor. So there'll be roadway improvements done adjacent to that. So there's been a very heavy focus on that as well. The new West Las Vegas Library, of course, is well under construction as well, also opening this fall around the same time as the Workforce Training Center, 43,000 square feet, nearly $40 million project that doubles the size of the current library and adds new amenities. So again, that one I'm sure you all have seen driving by. And then another big cornerstone, as we talked about, in terms of the implementation plan in those early catalytic areas, has been the Marble Manor redevelopment. And Karen is going to talk a little bit more about this, but I think this is another critical piece. Again, as you can see from our implementation strategy, you have work underway on Jackson and development. You have development underway and programming underway at the historic West Side School. Marble Manor is the third of those catalytic areas to get underway and begins to really piece together our original vision for how to set the stage for new development to come in. So I'm going to step away. I'm going to invite Karen Schnog with the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority to talk about choice neighborhoods.
Thank you. Way down here. Hi, good to see you, SNEC Board, all two of you and several of you on the phone. My name, for the record, is Karen Schnog, and I am the Director of the Choice Neighborhood Implementation. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, throughout this presentation, first we're going to talk about the CNI in general, what the Choice Neighborhood Initiative is, how we developed our plan, and then what's happening now. You'll hear themes throughout. You'll hear themes of supporting the neighborhood with education, improved health, and job opportunities. And also you'll hear the theme of people, housing, and neighborhood. These are the things that are unique to some degree to the Choice Neighborhood Program. Let's see, which way do I go? Nope. There we go. So what is Choice Neighborhoods? It's a program designed by HUD to help extremely distressed neighborhood revitalize not just the housing, but basically a 360 revitalization to revitalize the neighborhood surrounding community and also to support the residents who are in the original neighborhood so that all things are better coming out at the other end. And, but it's really about providing opportunity that can support the hopes and dreams of the residents and also the community to see what they want to arise from their community. So the Choice Neighborhood Program tells us that you have to take a holistic approach. You need to create a plan, and then if you're successful, you get a grant to enact that plan. It's community driven. So we'll talk a little bit later about the number of meetings that we had and all the different types of outreach we conducted. My time's ended. And then the three core goals, of course, which are people, housing, and neighborhood, as I've mentioned. So to start our planning process, the Housing Authority received a $450,000 grant back in 2021, along with the city, to create a transformation plan for Marble Manor. HUD requires that you have 2 resident meetings and 2 public meetings to get feedback. Housing Authority and the city went above and beyond, having 5 meetings for the residents to really get at what they wanted from their future community, and 7 meetings from the surrounding community and leaders in the community. Through that process, you can see we did a number of studio sessions, kind of workshop sessions, where people saw a map of the community and then rearranged it into what they wanted to see from the community. We even had one special session for the kids in the community to color in what they wanted, and you can see our executive director in there, being a kid at heart, because he's also in there coloring. And we also basically had 1,000 different feedback points from the community on what they wanted. So that came in multiple different ways. So not just community feedback in meetings, but also a survey that was conducted by the City of Las Vegas, where they received 85% of surveys completed by actual Marble Manor residents, which is an extremely high response rate. If you weren't really sure what you wanted, but you knew when you saw it, there were boards put out where you could put a red dot and a green dot. Green dot, this is what I wanted. Red dot, nope, we don't want this in our community. So extensive engagement. And this is what resulted from that process: a Marble Manor that's connected to the outside neighborhood, that's connected from one side of Marble Manor to the other, that includes outdoor areas, that has a public plaza where they could bring in events from the community to take place, mixed use so that retail was brought into the community, and open space and open access. Then we went out and created the transformation plan, and through that process, we got the cooperation and commitment from multiple partners. You see our partner Brinshaw, they're our development partner who will be redeveloping the housing. You also see Hope Christian Center, which is already bringing mobile checkups to the site. We just had them there for the first time last week. And they also include mental health, the library district, Sunrise Children's Foundation, and Lutheran Social Services was our chosen provider for all of our people services. So, Natasha, can you stand up, please? This is Natasha. She's the lead of our Lutheran Social Services. She's on site. Her team has 2 houses at Marble Manor where they provide those services, and they also provide events. Anybody at any time can come and talk to them during their office hours or by creating an appointment on the phone. And they contact everybody in Marble Manor or reach out every other week to provide support and feedback. This is the plan as far as the housing plan to develop the property. You can see we split it into 5 phases. These are the development phases. So basically the plan is to relocate, develop, build, relocate people back in if they so choose, and then repeat for 5 phases all the way through 2032. On this first chart there, you can see that currently we have 235 public housing units. We are going to replace unit for unit at the same income level, 335 houses. We're also adding LIHTC, low-income housing tax credit, which will provide housing, supported housing for people from incomes from the lower 30% all the way up to 80%. What was that?
Sorry, this is Deputy City Attorney Chris Levy-Gallagher for the record. I did have to interrupt. It sounds like we have lost quorum. A few of the members have dropped off of the phone from what the clerk has just advised.
Oh. Do you need me to text them and get them back on?
We can go into recess. I don't know if we wanted to try to reach out to any of the members, or the clerk, I think, was going to try to make contact. Okay, so if you guys did want to go into recess?
Yes, we're going to go into recess at this time.
Senator Neal has joined.
Okay, thank you guys for your patience. We have reestablished our quorum, and we're going to continue with the presentation.
Karen Schnog for the record. So as I was saying, the housing, will have, I think I finished off talking about the LIHTC housing, and then we're going to have 22% of the housing is going to be market rate, but we're very careful about how we define market rate because it's not going to be market rate as compared to Symphony Park. It's going to be market rate as compared to similar communities across the valley and what the rents will be there, because the goal is not to price out the community. You can see over on the other table that that is our development schedule. That is also online at our website. I should say that this will constantly be updated. So as you see, it says in the orange there that relocation for phase 2 is going to start in April. Relocation is not starting in April, it's actually starting in June. So, but relocation for phase 1 has started and will go through May of this year. This is an example of some of the housing that we're going to have here at Marble Manor. What's exciting about it is it's not just going to be one type of housing, it's going to be multiple different types of housing. There will be 4-story walk-ups, 4-story with elevators, and amenities inside and retail at the bottom. There'll also be 3-story walk-up flats and 2-story townhouses. Here's an example, as you can see, the current Marble Manor. I don't know when it was blue, but now it's all that yellow. But the current Marble Manor, and then the future of the types of finishes that we'll have on the outside. So on these renderings, you can't really get close up and see what it is, but we'll actually have some brick, some breezeway blocks. We'll have, you see this pop-out color there, which is, I think, Harvest Gold. On other buildings, it'll be this nice blue. So you can see that there's going to be variation to give depth to the buildings. We'll have siding. So it won't just be the flat stucco and one color that you might see, or 2 colors that you might see around the valley. It also takes inspiration from the historic West Side as a whole in its design, with patios reaching out to the neighborhood, and the breezeway block is also something that was seen in the heyday of the historic West Side. The amenities on site, this is what the community told us they wanted. They wanted more open space, more spread out throughout the community rather than just in the central. They wanted fitness equipment. There'll be fitness equipment inside the 4-story and also a fitness park. There will be gardening and gathering areas, and particularly in the heart of J Street will be a really exciting area, because not only will our early childhood education be in that location and retail, but there'll also be a place for things like farmers markets and other markets to pop up, outdoor performances, a small amphitheater, and have art from the community. But my favorite, as you'll hear me say over the next 8 years, is the water park that's going to be there, the splash pad, because that really brings kids out and gives them an activity. This is phase 1 of Marble Manor, and so you can get an idea of how it is facing the street, and the parking is on the inside, so it's really invites the community in and invites the neighborhood out. One of the things that the residents told us was that they felt alienated from the neighborhood, so this is one of the steps to help them feel closer to the neighborhood. Oh, I forgot to mention the green spine. There'll be a green spine all the way up through the entire neighborhood, connecting 8th Street all the way to J Street. So I'd also like to talk about the relocation. So there's a lot of confusion out there about relocating residents. And as I mentioned before, it's critically important that we support the people and the current residents at Marble Manor. So in addition to Lutheran Social Services, we also have Revival Services that is our relocation specialist. And I'd like to have Brittany stand up and wave. Brittany has done an amazing job. People call her at all hours of the day saying, I don't understand my paperwork, or I don't know what to do with this landlord. How do I fill out this form to go see the housing? And she helps them with all of it and rushes their checks through so they can get into the housing as soon as possible. So the relocation services that they provide are, they put out a notice that tells everybody of their rights and responsibilities. They go out and knock on every door and contact every neighbor. They did in phase 1, they reached everybody by the end of December to discuss what their choices will be, that they could use for a voucher, they can move into other public housing, they could move out of the state if they wanted to, across the valley, and they get that feedback so that we know what to plan for. And then now they are currently talking to every individual. Some have had vouchers, and some people with vouchers have already moved. About 38 individuals or households have vouchers to move, and 10 families have already moved into other public housing, which was their choice. I think we have one household that's porting out of the state. So I like to tell the story. At my first voucher meeting that I went to, a woman, we'll call her Whitney, she was sitting at the end and she was a little shy and wasn't really sure what the voucher program was all about. She didn't look like a senior, but apparently she was a senior, and when she heard that she could move into the exact housing complex, senior complex that was near her grandkids over in Summerlin, she was just beaming for the rest of the meeting. And I was like, that's what it's about for me, is that people get the choice to move where they want to, and then, of course, the first choice to move back if they want to. Let's see. Demolition for phase 1 will start probably more likely in July. It's right now scheduled for June. New construction will then start and take through the beginning of 2027, and then we'll start reaching out to the individuals who have moved out and see if they want to move back in. And let's talk a little bit about the engagement, because one of the things that we often hear is that people don't know what's going on and don't know when they're moving, and don't know how they're going to move. And so one of the things we like to ask of our community leaders is to help us share the right information, because it's easy to share the wrong information and it spreads throughout the community. So the right information the dates can be found on the website, or you can always contact me in my office. And we want to make sure that we get the move information out there. As I can tell you, we've had 3 notices, multiple, I think 11 meetings since we received the grant in July, and continue to have meetings and outreach. Plus, people are on call, like I said, from LSSN and from Revival Services. And then the last piece of this full grant program is the neighborhood projects. So as Jamie said, we're supporting each other. We have part of the Choice Neighborhood Program is to provide funding for projects in the neighborhood. We have 4 major areas of projects. One is the Early Education Center that will be right on the Marble Manor property. The second will be build out of commercial space, and that will be across the west side at the Market Hall, also supporting Jackson Avenue, and also supporting retail space within the Marble Manor. And then public art and wayfinding. So what I envision, but it's more important what the community envisions, but what we're talking about now is potentially having from that J Street gateway It invites people into the neighborhood to interact, but also we're going to have wayfinding to Jackson Avenue and along their art and historic stories and sites that people can see as they're walking from Marble Manor to Jackson Avenue and other locations within the historic West Side. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Paula Tucker, who's going to tell you about Flex.
Good evening. My name is Paula Tucker. I am the Director of Supportive Services for the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to talk to you about our Jobs Plus grant that we did receive last summer. We actually rebranded the program to call it Flex. We wanted something that we felt that would appeal to our residents, and actually we just felt like it sounded a little cooler to call it Flex, and it stands for Fostering Lasting Employment Experiences. Let's see, how am I doing this? Okay. All right, so the grant that we received, I just want to put that information out here. So the grant that we received from HUD was a $3 million grant for 4.5 years. We completed our 6-month ramp-up period in January, and now we are actually hiring our staff. It's been a little kind of difficult over the last couple of months because everything had kind of slowed down at HUD because of the new administration, but we have staff in place. We are actually, as we speak, we're opening up our centers this week and having staff to show up and actually starting to market the program in the communities. So what is Flex, AKA the Jobs Plus program? And I know the actual flyer on the right-hand side is a little difficult for you to read, so I did bring some of the actual copies of the flyer with me so I can pass them out after the meeting. But it's a national program of the United States Housing and Urban Development Division, or HUD, and it has a focus. The focus is on helping public housing residents find employment through a case management model that focuses on the whole family. The program offers services to help residents improve their work readiness, jobs placement, and financial literacy, and also increase their earned income. The program also addresses a benefits cliff, which is by including earned income disregards by funding from HUD to offset that, and I'll kind of explain that in a little bit more detail. And then the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority is creating a value-added Jobs Plus model similar to our Family Self-Sufficiency Program, which works with families on budgeting, establishing, and improving and maintaining credit and investing for the future. What they mean by that, with the Jobs Plus program, there's actually 3 parts to that. There's an employment and training piece where we actually work with them on everything from connecting them to employment and training, to teaching them jobs readiness, starting very basic with teaching them how to complete a resume. We meet them where they are. It may be someone as simple as just connecting them to an employer, but some people may have never worked before. So we really work with them on where they are, and their time in the program as far as the case management could take anywhere from 3 months to 18 months. We're really going to go at the pace that they need to learn those skills before we actually put them out there and really try to connect them with employers. The actual case management piece is, we're connecting them with a case manager where that will work with the full household. And so they will work with them on all types of overcoming barriers to employment, everything from establishing a support system to connecting them to childcare, to transportation, education, training, anything that's necessary for them to get into the workplace, to not just find a job, but to be able to find lasting long-term employment that can lead their family to long-term family self-sufficiency. And that goes into our Family Self-Sufficiency Program, which is another grant that we received from HUD. HUD. With that program, if, as many of you may be aware, I know some of you have attended our Family Self-Sufficiency Program graduations in the past. It's a long-term 5-year program where families set goals that are, there's mandatory goals of employment and being off of TANF cash assistance at the end of the program. And during that program time, we work with those families to become what we call as home buyer ready. And we work with them to establish credit, get their credit scores at 640 or higher. We teach them all about budgeting, how to save money, invest for the future, and actually start personal savings of up to $2,500 where we can actually work with them to become homeowners. 9 of our coordinators are HUD certified housing counselors. So we're going to transfer some of those same program basics into the Jobs Plus program or into the Flex program. So we will be teaching the participants also those same skills, teaching them budgeting, teaching them credit, and not only how to increase their savings, and we mean not just putting money under a mattress or giving grandma money to hold on to for them, but also actually establishing savings, talking about IRAs and long-term savings. So we're really looking to, our goal is to have HUD to use our model as a blueprint for future Jobs Plus programs. It's very important to note that when we applied for this grant through HUD, it was earmarked for only 6 properties, for residents that live in 6 properties with the housing authorities, and 5 of those properties are on the historic West Side. Those properties include Marble Manor Annex, Sherman Gardens Annex, and Villa Capri. All 5 of those properties are on the historic West Side, and then Jones Gardens on the east side. We will be, the program will be housed in 2 locations, the main office being at the AD Guy Knowledge Center, which is steps away from the Marble Manor complex, and the Marble Manor Annex, which is at Martin Luther King, directly adjacent from the post office. So if you actually happen to ride by and you look over, you'll see the big Flex sign hanging from the Marble Manor Annex Community Center right now. So those are the 2 locations. And if you look at this map, you can see that there is a distance from some of the properties to where the actual centers will be. So we have decided to hire a driver to actually go throughout the property throughout the day. They're actually establishing routes this week to determine where's the best place to pick up residents throughout the day. So there'll be pickups at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock throughout the day, picking up the residents, taking them to the center to receive the case management services, and then taking them back home, and all the way from the east side to the Marble Manor location at the AD Guy Knowledge Center, and then all the way from 8th Street over to the Marble Manor Annex location on Martin Luther King. And as you can imagine, sometimes in the summertime it can exceed 110 degrees from up to like 6 months in Las Vegas. So this is what's behind the decision to add the driving position and use one of our vehicles to actually to bring the residents to the centers for services. So program staffing, we will be having 1 program manager. Her name is Shahara McGee, and she is our Jobs Plus or Flex manager. We have an administrative assistant, 4 case managers. It's a 50-to-1 household caseload ratio. 4 resident ambassadors, which we have renamed to be called peer mentors, and 4 career coaches. And then through our partnership or co-applicant in-kind specialists, 2 employment specialists or job developers provided by Workforce Connection. We have a transportation specialist, which is our driver. And then we will also be working with our SNARA's Section 3 coordinator, site managers, and the property managers and assistant managers to all work together to make sure that we're assisting or meeting the needs of our residents on all of the properties to best serve them through this program. So once again, our Flex executive team is myself, the Director of Supportive Services, our Flex Program Manager, which is Shahara McGee, and then Chief Programs Officer of Workforce Connection. We're working with Jeannie Coonan. Our Supportive Services Committee, we have agencies providing services to support those wishing to find and maintain employment. We have an Education and Training Services Committee, organizations that can help to address educational gaps in job skills training requirements for in-demand jobs. And we're working with, just a few, to mention a few, Workforce Connections, CSN, and other nonprofits working in this space. And then Employment Services Committee, which include nonprofits that provide employment services and employers, as well as Workforce Connections. The unique aspect of our program, once again, is on-site intensive case management. The ratio is 50-to-1 per household. We're working, one of our partners that we're collaborating with is the West Las Vegas Library, soon to be very close to the Marble Manor Annex location. They have offered Chromebooks to every participant that will be working with the Flex program. We've hired, once again, a full-time transportation specialist or a driver that can move participants between all sites. And the coordination and collaboration with other historic West Side jobs-based programming that's underway, including the CSN Workforce Education and Training Center, the Cox Innovation Center at Historic West Side School, Tech Impact, and the Culinary Training and Leadership Academy at the Historic West Side School. Program timeline is the staff that have been hired for March of 2025, which is this month, moved into offices this week. We're looking to hold a grand opening later this month, which we hope that many of you will join us so that we can actually show you what the centers look like, and then some of the services that are going to go on during the course of the, during the week, from week to week, and then developing partner work plans and agreements now through April, the end of April, and then outreach events and programming signups through the end of April. I'm not sure if okay, so one of the things I wanted to go back and mention, because I don't think I covered that, was part of the three-part of the actual programming. The third part was the second part was the community support, where we have the peer mentors going out into the community and actually, really gathering support throughout the community and really getting the community pumped up and excited about the program. Really talking about the importance of, that not only is it creating job opportunities, but anytime they sign up and they begin working from that point, or if they are already working and they increase their earnings from that point, all of that income is not counted towards their rent for up to 4 years. So if let's say someone is not working today, they join the Jobs Plus program today, they get a job tomorrow for 4 years, that income from that job is not going to count towards their income. Towards their rent. If they have three kids and they all get jobs, none of that income is going to count towards that rent. So that's going to be a lot of extra disposable income in that household. So what we're planning on doing is really working with those household members, teaching them about the importance of saving and how it's saving for the future and budgeting that money and being careful about how they're spending that money and talking to them about making sure they're paying their bills on time and how it's going to be important that once they no longer have this disallowance, paying their rent on time, paying their utilities on time, and having that, building that nest, that nest egg, that savings, having that money in savings so that they can have that money for the future or for emergencies. So really getting them to understand the importance of money and financial literacy. And working, our goal is to not just to get them through the 4 years, but once the 4 years is over, that we're not going to have this large group of people to just quit their jobs and go back to just being on public housing. We feel very confident that these people are going to be like, I've got this. You guys have equipped me with these skills. I've got this job. I know what I'm doing, and I'm ready to move forward, whether it means moving off of public housing, whether it means buying my own home or staying within public housing and still being able to manage their bills and being able to pay their rent and their utilities on time. So really being responsible citizens. So that's the goal that we have for this program. So just some of the other flex goals and outcomes that we're looking for. Within the 6 properties, there's 765 what HUB deems as workforce adults, meaning 18 to 64 adults that are able to work that are not considered disabled and unable to work. So the number of individuals that we want to be enrolled in the Jobs Plus Earned Income Disallowance Program, or 80% of those would be 612. The number of individuals that we want to have assessed or is 65%, or 497. The number of adults employed by the end of the program is 40%, or 305 at a minimum. And then average yearly earnings, we want to be at 115% of baseline. Baseline being an average of $31,167,000.67. So that minimum goal would be achieving $35,842.82 in earnings. And then we would want to have at least 25% of those residents employed for at least 180 days. And of course, that would be 124 residents. So these are minimum goals. Of course, we're hoping for much higher, outcomes, but we're very excited about the prospect of being able to receive this grant exclusively, I must say, exclusively for the residents of these 6 properties. And we're looking forward to we're starting this week, and we're very excited about that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for all the time tonight. We're just going to wrap up with a couple quick final slides, and then we'll be open for questions. Just to kind of set out the challenges and opportunities and the call to action, if you will, in terms of looking ahead. Obviously, we all know the federal funding challenges, and we've been heavily reliant on federal funding to do a lot of the programs that we've talked about tonight. The goal with the 100 Plan in Action with all of these projects was to get to a point where we're stimulating investment from the market to come in and sort of invest on its own. But we are still in a very fragile moment where continuing to find resources to support these projects and programs is going to be key. And then ongoing strategies to address displacement, of course, will continue to be critical and at the forefront of everything we do. On the opportunities side, we've heard a lot from all the federal agencies we work with about our work to braid all of these different agency funding streams and how it has been profoundly impactful from their perspective. So we've talked about EDA, we've talked about HUD, we've talked about transit funding. We've really been able to tap into all federal agencies and focus that in a targeted area. We are getting lots of interest and inquiries about projects, partnerships, and future development coming every day, so there's definitely momentum. And we believe, I think collectively, that the work we do in the West Side can be a model not just for the region, but for the entire country. Our charge moving ahead, again, we've talked a lot about what we've been doing. 2025 will be the single biggest year of development the historic West Side has seen, and the cumulative effects of that could lead us in many directions. So we are intent on keeping focus on the mission to intentionally invest, not redevelop, and that there must be intentionality in everything we do to keep things on track. So support, writing letters as we reach out, attending meetings, like some of those mentioned tonight, helping us identify funding from grants, philanthropy, or like-minded investors, helping us to spread, again, the correct information to your constituents, and reaching out anytime with questions. All help us continue the great work that we've done. And I've just provided QR codes and some information on the things we've talked about tonight. So I will wrap it up. I don't know if Kathy and Sabra want to come up and say any final words, or if we just want to open it up for questions. I think any of us are available. All right, questions.
Do we have any questions from anyone on the line?
Member Steele has a question. Thanks for the presentation. Thought it was very comprehensive and incredibly impressive to see the breadth of the programs and hear about the future of the developments in the historic West Side. Just had a couple quick questions. The first one is, do you see any challenges across the programs of completing either the construction or the implementation of programs based on any changes in federal appropriations or the receipt of future funding?
I'll speak to that, and then Karen might want to speak to Choice Neighborhoods specifically, since it is such a big program. But thus far, we're keeping a close eye on it. I don't think anything under construction currently or planned for construction, such as the SHARE project, which is being built in large part with private dollars, will be immediately impacted. But Karen may want to comment on HUD.
No comment on HUD, but I wouldn't even pretend to guess what the federal government is doing right now. But I would say that our development partner is very experienced in bringing in multiple sources of funds. The whole plan was to leverage public and private dollars. And the first phase has complete funding, so we are not anticipating a slowdown at this point, though I can't promise what the future will bring.
Understood. Thank you. Second question is just to memorialize this for our purposes and for the public. Is there a website? I didn't hear a website where individuals can find either the plans for Marble Manor or information if they wanted to participate in the voucher aspect of the program. Is there a central site that's been developed to kind of encompass all of the information related to the moving of tenants, and then the relocation, and then the return process?
So Karen Schnog, for the record, Member Steele, you're asking if there's a site that specifically goes over the relocation process? Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, and I didn't hear one during this call, so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to memorialize it for public record.
Thank you. So yes, there is a website. It's on the Housing Authority's website under initiatives, and then you can click, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a button for each phase, and it highlights the relocation process during that phase. So when, not the full process, but the dates when relocation will start and when it goes through. Does that answer your question?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I guess that was part A, and then part B. Is there also information related to what the final build out will look like? Is there other site plans and things like that that's accessible for individuals to get excited about?
I have to look at that. We do have a map, but I think it's mostly concentrated on phasing, but that's a great suggestion. So I will look at adding more information as we go along. Each phase will have a different architect, so they will have similarities, but also be slightly different so that the property looks unique and not too uniform.
Okay, thanks so much. I just think
Thank you.
With so many of these projects, and I've heard it a couple times during this call, is that this could be a model for other areas, and so maybe just trying to think about how we can help in the marketing of what's being accomplished in the city. I think if we take a proactive approach of really supporting what you all are doing and really getting that marketing out there, it's not only beneficial for the community to feel like they're part of it and to be excited about that, but that'll help with kind of the dissemination of that information for other communities to participate in a similar fashion.
Yeah, Member Steele, thank you for requesting that information. I just want to, this is Member McCurdy, just want to thank all the presenters for the thorough information that was laid out. I think we're doing phenomenal work. It's definitely notable, and actually, that we're all working together and communicating at a high level and making sure that the community has the most up-to-date information as well. And in particular to the relocation process and the guidelines that we have to follow with HUD, it's really, really important that we continue to push that information out so that folks can know what's actually happening versus, some of the rumors that are going around and unfortunately picking up, the wrong traction when in fact we're actually doing everything that we can to make sure that folks have all the most up-to-date, accurate information as it pertains to their future and the opportunity to come back to the redeveloped Marble Manor. So I just want to thank everyone and very thorough presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question to ask. Regarding the relocation. Once they are relocated, how long does a tenant, if they are at the point of moving back, if they decide they don't want to move back, are they still are the services still available to them, and for how long?
Yes, the services are available for the full 8 years. And in fact, our LSSN team will be reaching out to people across the valley as they move across the valley. So they'll be available for the full 8 years.
Okay. Are there any more questions? We thank you, ladies, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Agenda 6. This is the discussion regarding topics of future agenda items. Comments made during this portion of our agenda by individual members shall refer solely to the proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited to whether or not such proposed items are within the purview of the board, and/or whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion. We're going to ask our board members, do they have anything they want to discuss? If not, any discussion, we're going to move on to agenda number 7, which is our citizens' participation. For public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. No subject may be acted upon by the board unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward now and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Catherine Duncan for the record. We heard some amazing presentations, and we're so excited with all the development that's coming into our neighborhood. And a lot of it seems to be driven by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. But the Housing and Urban Development also set up what they call envision centers. And they set up envision centers in distressed communities across America. And our historic West Side qualifies as a distressed community based on the Federal Highway Administration's criteria for disadvantaged communities. So with that, the Envision Center is supposed to be an opportunity for people such as myself who live in the neighborhood to participate in envisioning what we would like our community to look like in the future. So while we had tremendous input into the initial 2016 100 plan, the 100 plan in action has changed dramatically based on ideas from the general community and not necessarily the people from the neighborhood. So we asked these program and policymakers, how do they decide whether a person is a community member or if they are a neighborhood member? What type of data are they obtaining to suggest that the person is even a stakeholder in the community? Because it is possible for one church full of people to come into a neighborhood meeting and outvote the people who live here because they are developing something in that church. There's no way for them to tell us who actually is a neighborhood stakeholder. So in addition to the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority, the City of Las Vegas and their consulting team, there are over 20 federal agencies that are looking to do business in the historic West Side, and we're looking for a central repository for all that information, especially the Environmental Protection Agency, the Federal Highway Administration. We're getting a high-speed rail coming from California. The historic West Side doesn't end in the City of Las Vegas. We've got 2 municipalities vying for the same and similar types of funding and programs in both Las Vegas and North Las Vegas, and we really need a concentrated, coordinated effort to bring these choice neighborhood initiatives together. So we applaud Jamie and Karen and Catherine and everyone who came up, but we really need to have these initiatives coordinated. So if the Flex program with their $3 million grant, their one penny would put $30,000 into the STEM Center. That could put 50 young people to work helping us actually build the websites, create the maps, put the information on a digital platform that we all need. So we're not asking for a lot. We're asking for one penny from every program dollar or from every project to go to the STEM Center. There's a STEM Center at Nevada Partners, STEM Centers coming on at the HUD Innovation Center, and we're just asking that you would really, the private developers are anxious to get with us. We're talking to the Harlem Knights, we've been talking to the Jackson Street Alliance, so private developers understand the benefit of investing in this community engagement strategy. We just need to get our government agencies on board to understand the benefit of not only community outreach, but intentional engagement where these young people are actually paid to learn. Imagine what it would mean for a 12-year-old or a 17-year-old to earn $600 every 10 weeks, working from home on their digital skills, so they don't have to necessarily go into the construction industry. They can learn architecture, engineering, computer science from the comfort of their living room through this virtual community action planning. It is a career-long process, and we're anxious to get started. It's called Virtual Community Action Planning. It's working in Kansas City, Los Angeles, and other cities, and we'd be happy to be on the agenda if you would agendaize this item so that we can come and make a formal presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more?
Yes, my name is William Turbay, Turbay. I propose an agenda item. I think everybody's heard of cryptocurrency. Not that I know anything about it, but I'd like to invite somebody who does know about cryptocurrency and the tokenization for investment purposes. So if you would so be kind, and I would like to invite them and see, there's a whole new method of breaking all this investment into little tiny pieces that we can all participate in.
Thank you.
This one? Okay. Good evening. My name is Chandler Cooks, ChandlerCooks. I serve for the past several years, I've served as a business advisor at the Urban Chamber of Commerce, where I currently work as a business advisor, and had just some comments and suggestions from the work that I've seen working with these entrepreneurs and business owners. And this is more about some of the micro business developments that are coming to the area. With the micro business developments and new incubator facilities coming to the historic West Side, now is the time to reignite proven programs that empower entrepreneurs. Programs similar to the BOSS program. Those small business incubation programs were more than a curriculum. It was a launch pad for ideas, a bridge to resources, and a lifeline for small business owners who needed guidance to succeed. If we want these developments to be more than just buildings, if we want them to be the engines of opportunity, we must invest in the people who will power them. So by bringing back small business incubation programs, this board can equip entrepreneurs with the tools to thrive and ensuring the West Side's growth is driven by local businesses, local talent, and local success stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Melvin Valentine Jr., EDA Grant Manager for Jackson Ave. I just wanted to applaud the efforts of the historic West Side. We have a lot of momentum, a lot of great traction, especially with all the new recent developments. I think we have a great team, a lot of great people put in a position of power and influence with some great relationship and synergy between them. So I think we have a very unique opportunity to do some great dynamic work. And I think that the SNCC board is in a very strategic position because there's all the projects that were discussed today are in their jurisdiction. But then you also have the library, and then you also have the micro business park. And with all these projects being strategically aligned, I think we have a great opportunity to really take our community to the next level, especially getting ahead with a great branding campaign and a narrative that potentially could be under the SNCC designation, because all these great projects are like a portfolio of great work that we can really highlight on a national level. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments? If there are any more comments, this meeting is adjourned.